All right, let's jump right into today's deep dive.
Okay.
We're getting into a specific medical topic, pulling everything from a really clear article.
Yeah, one designed to explain a skin condition in, simple English.
And the condition we're exploring, it's called bullous impetigo.
Exactly. Bullous Impetigo.
So our mission here is to really unpack what that is, how it actually develops on your skin.
And why understanding it is genuinely important, especially like how easily it spreads.
Right. It's surprisingly common, isn't it? Particularly if you're around, say, younger children.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, the article really highlights these distinct bubbles on the skin.
Bubbles, right. And also just how contagious it is.
Very. So, diving into what the article tells us, bullous impetigo, it's a specific type of impetigo.
Okay, so impetigo itself is already known, right?
Yeah.
Common, highly contagious bacterial skin infection.
Exactly. But the bullous part, what
Ah.
makes it bullous?
Well, that comes from the word bulla, doesn't it?
It does, which is simply the medical term for a large blister.
Right. So bullous impetigo means impetigo that shows up as these large, fluid-filled blisters.
Yeah, the article describes them like big bubbles on your skin, sometimes quite substantial.
How big are we talking?
It mentions they can be like 1 to 2 centimeters across, which is fairly large for a blister.
Wow. Okay. And they don't just pop up in the usual spots like hands or feet.
No, that's interesting too. They can appear on the trunk, your belly or back.
Huh. As well as arms and legs.
Right. And the source gives us a pretty clear picture of how it uh, progresses, the cycle.
It starts off quite subtly, doesn't it? Just a small, clear spot, maybe.
Exactly. You might first notice just a little clear blister forming on the skin, almost insignificant at first.
And then that's when it grows, fills up with fluid to become that defining large blister, the bulla.
Precisely. And usually after just a few days, maybe 2 or 3, that blister will burst open.
Okay, which then leaves the skin underneath exposed, kind of wet and raw looking.
Hmm. That open area then dries out and forms a crust.
Ah, the crusting phase.
Yeah, and the article has a great description here. It says this crust is often yellow or maybe light brown.
Right, almost like dried varnish or
Yeah.
the one that stuck with me was a drizzle of honey.
Exactly. That visual really helps, I think.
It does. And the good news, which the source highlights, these crusts typically heal up without leaving any permanent scarring.
Yeah, which is a relief.
Definitely. Now, what's particularly insightful from the article is the cause.
Ah, yes, the
It,
bacteria behind it.
it states that bullous impetigo is almost exclusively caused by one specific type of bacteria, Staphylococcus aureus.
Or just staph, for short, the common one people hear about.
Right. And this staph bacteria doesn't just sort of appear, does it? It needs an entry point.
No, exactly. The article explains it can get into the skin through something as small as a tiny cut, maybe a scratch.
An insect bite, even.
Yeah, or even skin that's already compromised or irritated somehow.
Yeah.
Like from eczema, for example.
Okay, so any little break allows it in.
Pretty much. But here's the critical point the article really, really hammers home. Is it contagious?
And the answer is?
Absolutely yes.
Yeah.
Highly contagious.
Okay. That explains why it spreads so easily, then.
Totally. It moves from person to person through direct contact.
Contact with what specifically? The blisters themselves?
Yeah, with the blisters or the fluid inside them or even the crusts after they burst.
Ah, okay.
Hmm.
And not just direct skin contact.
No, it can also spread via things people share, like towels, clothing, maybe even toys.
Right. That makes sense. That ease of transmission through direct contact and shared
Is
items,
exactly why the article points out it's most common in young children.
especially in those close settings like daycares or schools.
Exactly, where kids are touching everything and each other.
Okay, so let's quickly pull together the key takeaways from this source then.
Good idea.
Bullous impetigo. It's a distinct form of impetigo defined by those large blisters, the bullae.
Mm-hmm. Caused by staph bacteria.
It follows that predictable cycle. Blister forms, bursts, then crusts over,
Right. And it's extremely contagious, particularly among children.
which means it needs antibiotics, right, for proper healing and also to stop the spread.
Yes, treatment is important.
Yeah.
And usually it heals without leaving scars.
Good. So connecting this back to you, the listener, this is important knowledge because, well, it's a common bacterial infection.
Right. Understanding its cycle and how it spreads is incredibly relevant.
Especially if you're a parent or maybe you work with kids or you're just often in community environments.
Yeah, places where easily spread conditions like this can just, pop up.
Definitely. And maybe one final thought to leave you with.
Okay.
How does that surprisingly simple cycle, A skin blister forming, popping, and then crusting over. How does that maybe offer a glimpse into the body's own resilient healing process?
Oh, interesting angle. Even when it's grappling with something like a highly contagious bacterial invader like staph.
Exactly. Just something to consider about how our bodies respond.
Yeah.